Greetings, grade 8s. Welcome to this Worksheet Cloud grade 8 maths lesson where we're going to be looking at multiplying and dividing mixed fractions. I'm Mr. T. I'll be your maths teacher for today. Don't forget that at Worksheet Cloud we're all about having fun while we learn. So we have now got the brand new rewards hub where you can earn rewards while you learn. Seems a bit like bribery to me, but seeing as you guys are the winners, I think it's okay. You can earn cool things like some Worksheet Cloud merchandise, caps among other things, some Nomu hot chocolate. Don't mind if I do, and no, I do not have a PlayStation 5 with me. Tricked you. I was actually just giving my dog some attention. He seems to like the fact that I'm talking to grade 8s today. All right, but more about that later. Let's get on to the maths for today. Right, multiplication and division of mixed fractions. Some people call them mixed numbers. I actually prefer the term mixed numbers rather than mixed fractions, but they mean the same thing. Let's have a look at what our goals are today. Pretty simple. By the end of the lesson, I'd like you to be able to multiply and divide mixed fractions. Also, I'd like you to be able to simplify and cross-cancel before multiplying, something that you should have some knowledge of already, but we're also going to have a look at why it's important that we do this. Why do we do this rather than simply going forward? Okay, prior knowledge. If these things are not stable, you might find, for you, or not things that you're able to do, you might find this lesson is a little tricky, but I will do a sort of a little recap on these before we move forward. So, be able to multiply and divide common fractions. So we're going to take it from common to mixed numbers. Be able to convert between improper and mixed fractions. It's important for what we're learning today. I'll recap that as well. And also know how we simplify fractions, because our answers at this stage should generally be expressed in a simplified manner. Right, multiplying common fractions. So this is the revision of those things that we should know. So remember, when we add and subtract common fractions and our denominators need to be the same? With multiplication and division, they don't. So in that sense, this is actually easier than adding and subtracting, because we don't need to make our denominators the same before we do it. So we've got an example, 3/4 times by a half. It's as simple as top times top, bottom times bottom. 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 2 is 8, and there's our answer. Let's head on over to the whiteboard and just do about 5 examples where we just look at cross-cancelling and also why it is that cross-cancelling is important. Okay, so ignore what I've got on the right-hand side. That's for later on, but let's have a look at what I've got on the left. All right, I've just picked some common fractions, and we're going to have a look at why it is we cross-cancel. So I'm going to not cross-cancel first with the first one. If I'm going to look at that 4/7 times 1/4, it's top times top, 4 times 1 is 4, and bottom times bottom, 7 times 4 is 28. Now 4/28 is not a simplified fraction, so we will need to simplify it. We ask ourselves, what goes into the bottom and the top? Well, 4 fits into 4 once, and 4 fits into 28 7 times. So we get a final answer of 1/7, which is the right answer. However, if we had gone and looked at our question and we'd done our cross-cancelling at this stage, we would have got straight to the answer and skipped this messy step in the middle and the need to simplify our answer. So before we actually get to top times top, bottom times bottom, we need to check a couple of things. 2 things, actually. We need to check if either of the fractions can simplify, and we need to check if we can cross-cancel, which is kind of just like simplifying at an angle, really, along the lines of the x. So if I look at the first fraction, I've got 4/7. That is a simplified fraction. I can't do anything there. 1 over 4, I can't simplify. Now I'm going to look across. Is there anything that goes into 7 and into 1? 1, that doesn't help us. Is there anything that goes into 4 and 4? Yes, 4 goes into 4 once, so I'm going to cross out that and put a 1 in its place. And from now on, I'm actually going to read that as 1 over 7. And 4 goes into 4 once. All right, so now I go 1 times 1 is 1. And 7 times 1 is 7. And I've actually gone straight to the simplified answer rather than having that mess in the middle. Now, somebody might argue with me that actually simplifying 4 over 28 is really easy. Pardon me. Let me actually jump right down to number 5, which I put in specifically for this reason. Okay, so let's have a look. If we were going to choose to simply go top times top and bottom times bottom, and then simplify our answer, we would then need to go, 17 times 13. See why I'm looking at simplification. It's 221, for those of you that didn't know. Didn't want to sit there and work it out, because that would take a while to work out on the side if you didn't happen to be good at either your 17 or 13 times table. 19 times 17 is 323, which you would then also have to simplify. And I'm fairly sure that neither of you have, or none of you have noticed that 17 is a factor of both of those numbers, and we could simplify it. So that's pretty messy. But if we'd gone the route of cross-cancelling first, we would have said, well, 17 goes into 17 once, into 17 once. 1 times 13 is 13. 19 times 1 is 19. And that's our answer right there. Perhaps a little messily, but there's our answer. So, yeah, definitely there is a lot of good reason for cross-cancelling and simplifying. So in the other 3 that I've got here, I've randomly selected some. Some will vertically simplify, some will cross-cancel. It doesn't actually matter which way you do it. You do it until you can't do any more. And then that's the answer. Well, then you do top times top, bottom times bottom. So with the first, number 2, excuse me. With number 2, you could either go straight to cross-cancelling or you could do simplifying first. I think I'm going to go with I would naturally choose cross-cancelling here, but let's have, okay. I sort of feel like I was going with simplify first and then cross-cancel. Doesn't matter. Whichever way you do it till you can't do any more and your answer will be right. Okay, so I'm noticing that if I cross-cancel, 5 can go into both of those. So I'm going to say 5 goes into there twice. 5 goes into there 3 times. If I'm looking the other way, 4 goes into there once and 4 goes into there 4 times. And just double checking, 1 over 2 is simplified, 3 over 4 is simplified. So now I'm going to go for top times top. 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 4 is 8. There's my answer. I could have started by simplifying that. Maybe I should do it just so that you're confident that we will end up with the same answer anyway. All right, so I'll just clear up the things we've got here and say, all right, well, 2 goes into there twice, 2 goes into there 5 times, 2 goes into there once, 2 goes into there 8 times, 5 goes into there once, and 5 goes into there 3 times. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 8 is 8, and there's my same answer that I had whether I did the other way. This one just required me to do a couple more steps. Okay, number 3. This one, I think I'll definitely go with simplifying first. 2 goes into there twice, 2 goes into there 3 times. That's now simplified, that's now simplified. I can't cross-cancel. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 7 is 21. There is my simplified answer. Last one of these. This one, there were a couple of different ways. Let's start by simplifying. So 2 goes into there twice, 2 goes into there 3 times, 3 goes into there once, 3 goes into there 3 times, 2 goes into there once, and 2 goes into there 36 times. I deliberately picked one where we would go on for a while because I want you to know that you can keep going with the simplifying and whatever until you can't do anymore. So 3 can go into 3 once, and 3 can go into 36 12 times. Now I go top times top, which is 1 times 1, which is 1. 1 times 12 is 12, and there's my answer. And although that looks maybe a little messy and complicated, if I'd started off by going 4 times 9 is 36, 6 times 72, I'd get a nice big number over there where I'd have to figure out what fitted into both. That's why I don't do it. That's why I simplify first. Okay, back to the slides. Okay, so that's multiplying. Dividing common fractions. Oops, I didn't put my animations in, so it's not moving between. Okay, if you can multiply, you can divide. So we keep the first fraction the same, we invert the second, and then you basically continue to answer with multiplication. So here's what I meant. We had 3 over 8 divided by a half. 3 over 8 stays exactly the same. We change the sign from division to multiplication, and we turn this sign this fraction upside down. So it becomes 2 over 1, which I know is 2 because 2 divided by 1 is 2. But we leave it like that so that we can work with it in a fraction. I can't simplify. Oh no, I can simplify. 2 goes into there 4 times, 2 goes into there once. So 4 and 1. The others stay the same. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 1 is 4. There we go. Let's jump back to the whiteboard. We will have a quick practice with some division ones. Okay, shifting across. So we're looking at division. All right, again, I'm still looking at simple fractions, even though for this lesson we are going to be looking at mixed numbers. All right, so again, I'm going to start off by writing my same fraction again. I haven't changed it. I changed the sign from division to multiplication. I flipped the second fraction upside down. Invert is the proper word. Now I'm going to cross cancel. 7 goes into 7 once and 7 once. 2 goes into 4 twice and into 6 3 times. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. And my final answer is 2/3. I'm moving quite quick because this is a revision. You should be familiar with these. 4 over 5. Change the sign to multiplication. 15 over 4. Now I do my cancelling. 4 goes into there once and there once. 5 goes into there once and there 3 times. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 divided by 1 is 3, but so you could just write it as 3 if you want. Okay, next one. 3 over 8 times, instead of divide, 7 over 6. We're going to cross cancel. 3 goes into there once, 3 goes into there twice. Can't cross cancel that, can't simplify either, so we're going to multiply. 1 times 7 is 7, 2 times 8 is 16 is my final answer. 1, pencil switching off. 1 over 9 multiplied by 3 over 1. And again, I am aware that 3 over 1 is just 3, but we keep it in this format so that we can work more easily when it comes to multiplying and cross-cancelling. So 3 goes into there 3 times, 3 goes into there once. 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 1 is 3. Final answer, 1/3. Shift this a little bit over. I'm worried we're getting behind my picture. Okay, 2 over 16 times by 8 over 1. You can do this either way. I'll do it cross-cancel first. Nah, let's do vertically first. 2 goes into there once, 2 goes into there 8 times. 8 goes into there once, 8 goes into there once. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Our answer is 1 over 1, which is just 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. Okay, that's a quick revision of having a look at dividing common fractions. So what about mixed numbers? Well, there is some good news on this front, and that is that, wait. sorry, before mixed numbers, I wanted to quickly look at your converting between. Yeah, let's go back to the whiteboard. I need to just double check that you're comfortable with converting between. Let's move to a new space here. Converting between mixed numbers and improper fractions. Okay, let's say that we had 5/4. We pick a nice simple one to start with. Now that's 5/4. So if I was going to draw that as, oops. Okay, that's first one. Come on. There we go. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/4. So I could very comfortably say that's 1 and 1/4. And there we go. We've converted from the one to the other. That's very nice, but if I had like, say, 85/27, I certainly don't want to have to go and draw all of the pieces so that I can figure it out. And I'm sure you know the easiest way to do it, and that is to simply ask yourself, how many times does 4 fit into 5? Once. Well, we used 4 of the 5. We had 1 left over. We're still looking at quarters. And there we go. So let's do that with another one. Let's say we had 9/2. We ask ourselves, how many times does 2 fit into 9? 2, 4, 6, 8. That now becomes our whole number. We're still looking at halves. We used 8 out of the 9, which means we have... So, yeah, we used 8 out of the... No! Sorry. Let's do that again. I'm thinking 8 and writing 8. So 2 fits into 9, 2, 4, 6, 8. That is 4 times. So our whole number is 4, not 8. Grade 8s, remember, making mistakes is not a problem as long as you learn something from them. And never be afraid to acknowledge your mistakes. Okay, so we used 8 out of the 9. We had 1 left, and then our denominator stays the same. All right, that's nice and simple. That's going that way. You'll need to go that way when we're putting our answers back into mixed numbers. It'll make sense shortly. If we have, say, 2 and 3/4, how do we then make that into into an improper fraction? Well, it's going to take me let me do some small drawings here. Ignore the bit sticking out the bottom. Right. Okay, so I have 2 full ones, which is 8/4 in total, and I have 1, 2, 3, so 3/4. And if I look, that's a total of 11/4. Again, not difficult to understand, but if you're looking at bigger numbers, that's a lot to sit and draw. And so it's easiest to say we've got 2 sets of 4, so I'm going to go 4 times 2 is 8. I'm going to keep the 8 in my head. Let's just put it there so you can see my head. And then I'm going to add the 3 that's on top, which gives me 11, and then my denominator stays the same. So let's just do 2 examples with that. We've got 13/4. Oh, no, sorry. I'm going the wrong way here. We've got 1, no, let's not use 1, 3, and 8/5. No, can't. 8/10. Okay, so we say 3 times 10 is 30, plus 8 is 38. So that as an improper fraction will be 38/10. And 4 and 2/11, we say 11 times 4 is 44, plus 2 is 46. There's my improper fraction version. Okay, now we are ready to tackle mixed numbers. Okay, so what about mixed numbers? Well, there's only one new rule to remember for both multiplication and division. It's quite simple. Basically, if you've got the multiplication and division of common fractions down, then this next step is going to be pretty easy. You can't multiply and divide mixed fractions. It just doesn't work. And I'll show you why on the whiteboard in a little bit. But the way we go around that is we make them improper fractions before we start. And after that, we just carry on like what we've been doing already. Okay. It does increase the likelihood that you will need to cross cancel, but that's nothing new either. All right, back to our whiteboard so that we can have a look at those examples. All right, so why we can't multiply the whole numbers on their own? So I just put in one example there, 10 times 6 and 1/5. So I deliberately didn't put a fraction part on here because I want to focus in on just the one aspect of this. So if we were doing this like this had a fraction part, we'd say 10 times 6 is 60, and then the fraction times the fraction. But if we look at 10 times 6 and 1/5, we've got to do 10 times 6 and 10 times the 5th. So we can't simply say the whole number times the whole number and then the fraction times the fraction, because then we've missed the part where the whole number on this side also multiplies by the fraction, and the fraction also multiplies. So you see, that's why we have to make sure that we include them. We can't multiply them separately. So when we were adding and subtracting, we could look at the whole numbers separately, but not for multiplication. So let's look at number 1. Step 1, we have to make them into improper fractions. So we are going to say 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 2 is 20. Now we're going to check if we can cross cancel or simplify. I notice 2 goes into there once and into there 10 times. That's as far as I can go. So I'm going to go top times top, gives me 70. Bottom times bottom gives me 3. And this is where we need to put our number back into a mixed number, and why we need to be able to convert from improper to proper. So we ask ourselves, how many times does 3 go into 70? Well, 3 goes into 69. Well, it goes into 60 20 times, and 69 23 times. So that becomes our whole number. We used 69 of the 70, which gives us 1 left, and there is our final answer. And the scratchiness in my voice right now is telling me that it is now time for a Nomu hot chocolate break. Today I'm trying the unsweetened kind because it's bitter like my soul. No, I'm kidding. It actually tastes delicious. Let's be honest, studying sucks. But here at Worksheet Cloud, we make it suck way less. In Worksheet Cloud, you can earn avatars, sidekicks, collectible coins, and then level up all while studying. Plus, we've just added our most exciting feature to date, the brand new Worksheet Cloud Rewards Hub. With Worksheet Cloud Rewards Hub, you can earn epic rewards and unlock entry tickets to win real giveaway prizes, including a Sony PlayStation 5, some yummy Nomu hot chocolate, and some fresh Worksheet Cloud merch. The more questions you answer, the more points you earn, and the more rewards you unlock. Worksheet Cloud makes your studying easier with video lessons, practice exams, practice questions, and study notes. In other words, we're your go-to place for all your studying. Ask your parents to sign you up at worksheetcloud.com today. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. Number 2. Oh, good boy, Dash. You like maths too, hey? Yes, you like as many pats as you can get. Oh, yes, good boy. Dogs are the best. Okay. All right, so again, before we do anything else, we've got to make it into an improper fraction. So 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. over 6. And the next one, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 3 is 18 over 5. Now, I suppose it's a good moment to just mention that you should by now be starting to see that maths is one of those subjects that scaffolds, it builds. So I'm using quite a lot of the skills that we learned in primary school. And if those skills are a little bit rusty or a little bit not so smooth, that's going to slow you down with all of these things. So I'm not sitting there when I go 4 times 6 and going 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, because that's a number fact that's in my head. If I see 4 times 6, I just know it's 24. And that's from frequent use. So if you are a little rusty, you are going to be dealing with times tables. Well, I suppose by next year you'll be allowed to use a calculator for things, but it's really useful to have these. I would suggest spending some time going over your times tables, just making sure they're so smooth that you don't even need to think about it. Okay, well, now that I've finished distracting myself, let's do the cross cancelling. So 6 goes into there once and into there 3 times. 5 goes into there 5 times and into there once. So I'm ending up with, I don't know why I'm going across and down and not down and across. Oh, it doesn't matter. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 1 is 1. 15 over 1 is 15. That's an easy simplify. There's our answer. And let's have a look at the next one. 8 1/4 times 2 2/11. Step 1 is improper fractions. Oh, we're going to do it underneath. All right. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 is 33. So we got 33 over 4 times by 2 times 11 is 22, plus 2 is 24. You'll notice that with most of these, and your teachers will do it as well, I've picked numbers that once you've converted them will simplify nicely. All right, so 4 goes into there once, 4 goes into there 6 times, 11 goes into there 3 times, 11 goes into there once. 3 times 6 is 18. 1 times 1 is 1. That's 18 over 1, which is 18. Oh, let's use yellow for this one. Okay. 2 times, so step 1, improper fractions. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 5 is 21 over 8 times 10 over 7. 7 goes into there 3 times, 7 goes into there once, 2 goes into there 4 times, 2 goes into there 5 times, 3 times 5 is 15, 4 times 1 is 4. How many times does 4 go into 15? It goes in 3 times with 3 left over, and there's my final answer. Okay, last one of these. And we've got some division. Okay, so I deliberately threw in one where we've got a whole number instead of a fraction. And instead of even having a fraction or the mixed number. But I did it because I wanted you to just remember something, and that is that anything divided by itself is 1, or divided by 1 is itself. So I can actually rewrite 6 as 6 over 1, which then helps me with my my writing down my formula with cross cancelling and so on. So let's do it. 5 times 11 is 55, plus 1 is 56 over 5 times by 6 over 1. Oh, what did I do to myself? No, this one doesn't simplify nicely. All right, I wasn't thinking about the fraction so much as just working it out here, as looking for a whole number. Okay, well, as a strategy, if this is something that you're not comfortable with and not wanting to sit and work it out on the side, you can think of this as 6 times 50. So 6 times 50 would give you, 6 times 5 is 30, and then you have a 0 because it was 50, and then you go 6 times 6 is 36, so we've got a total of 336 over 5. And now we've got to ask, how many times does 5 go into 336? Well, this is why teachers work things out beforehand, so that they don't have to worry about coming up with uncomfortable things. Well, 5 goes into 120 times, so into 300 it'll go 60 times. So 60 and then another 7, so it'll be 67 and 1 left over. 67 and a fifth. Right, hope I didn't make a mistake there. Putting myself under pressure. Let's have a look at some division ones. Remember that with maths, it's really about practice. When you're doing it, you're going to remember this a lot better than if you're just watching it. So you might be sitting at home going like, yeah, I get this. I know exactly what's going on. But unless you actually do it yourself, it's maybe not going to stick. So it's always a good idea to go straight after you've done this, go have a look at the worksheet, do it, and that's got a much higher percentage of keeping this thing locked in your brain. Okay, so again, division. The first thing is we have to make it improper fractions. So 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26. We've got 26 over 5. Now later on, you'll be able to do this, convert it to a mixed number, and flip it and change the sign at the same time. But I'm really going to recommend that in the early days of doing this, you do it as 2 separate steps. So I'm going to write the division again. I'm going to say 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. All right, then I'm going to have to shift you across a bit. Then I'm now going to move it across, and I'm going to say, well, what can we put into these? Well, I can see that 2 goes into there 13 times, 2 goes into there 3 times. Unfortunately, that's as good as it gets. Another one of those tricky ones I should have worked out beforehand. So 13 times 7 is 91. You should know your 13 times table. Funnily enough, the 13 times table comes up quite often in high school. And 3 times 5 is 15. Got to make that back into a mixed number. We ask ourselves, how many times does 15 go into 91? Well, 6 will get you to 90. We've got 1 left, 6 and 1 over 15. Second last one for today, and then you can go and practice this yourself. All right, so 4 1/3 divided by 1 and 2/15. All right, so step 1, we're going to make them into improper fractions. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Keeping it as division. I've seen a lot of children, when they try and do both these steps, no, Mr. Travis. I hope somebody was paying attention and said, no, he's doing it wrong. He's making a mistake. I didn't tip and times when I was doing this. So you can see over here, I've left as division, but then I treated it as times. So I then need to go, so 26 over 5 stays the same, multiplied by 6 over 7. All right, and that one, sadly, isn't going to work out nicely. There's no simplification or cross-cancelling that can happen there. So I would use a strategy quickly. I would say, well, I don't know my 26 times table up to, or my 6 times table up to 26 times, but I do know that this is a little bit more than 25. And 25 times 6 is easy. That's 150. And then I need one more. Sorry, 25 times 6, and then I need another 6 to make up for the one I have been ignoring. So I've I suppose, simplified and compensated. All right, so I get 156, and 35. 5 times 7 is 35. Now I've got to see how many 35s go in. So 35, 70 up to 140. So that's 4. And what did I have left? 16 over 35. Yo, really putting myself to the test with some of these. Okay. Phew, glad I didn't make that mistake. Have to reshoot the whole video. Okay, so we've got 13 over 3. That was our first one converted, leaving it as division. 1 times 15 is 15, plus 2 is 17 over 15. Now, I'm not going to make that mistake. I'm going to tip and times. So 13 over 3 stays the same, multiplied by 15 over 17. And this one we can do some cancelling. 1 and 3 goes into there 5 times. 13 times 5 is 65. 1 times 17 is 17. Just shift you across a little bit for this one. I'll go back now. 17, 17, 34, 51, 68. So it's 3 and 15 over 17. Right. Last one. Step 1, make them improper fractions. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 3 is 17, 18, 19 over 8, divided by 16, 17, 17 over 8. Got a tip and times, so 19 over 8 stays the same, times by 8 over 17. Now we're going to cancel. 8 goes into there once, 8 goes into there once, which gives me 19 over 17. Woo, gone behind here. All right, and now we make it into a mixed number. 17 goes into there once, 2 left over, and 17. And that, grade 8s, is how we do multiplication with mixed numbers and division with mixed numbers. As long as you've got what you do with the common fractions, then this isn't a complicated step further. We're basically just taking it a little bit with that last step of making an improper fraction before we do our workings, and then afterwards taking our answer and making it into a proper fraction. Sorry, a mixed number. All right, like I was mentioning now, we don't learn by watching. We learn by doing, so please click on the link in the description below, not for my sake, but for your sake. Download that free worksheet. Practice what we've just been going through. Keep it in your head so that you can impress your teachers and your parents with your marks. And don't forget, if you're not already part of the Worksheet Cloud crowd, get your parents to sign you up, because it'll give you access not only to the maths worksheets and the maths lessons, but also to other lessons in other subjects, so you can get ahead across the board at school. And of course, the all-important rewards hub, where you can earn those cool prizes. Those rewards like fresh merchandise from Worksheet Cloud, Nomu hot chocolate to sweeten up those, or just make those study breaks just that much enjoyable, or possibly even, if you're going to work super hard and you're lucky, that PlayStation 5. Wouldn't that be an awesome reward for doing some work? See you soon.